Okay, Vicki, Cookie, I'm going to open up the meeting. We have two welcomes this evening. First is a welcome to the Sustainability and Infrastructure meeting for September 9th, 2020. But in addition, I, as well as the other commissioners, would like to welcome back Commissioner Lorraine. So good to see you again. And we look forward with serving with you for the next foreseeable future. Everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which this stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Cookie, could you please do a roll call?
Yes. Chair Rowinski.
Present.
Vice Chair Nunez.
Present.
Commissioner Lorraine.
Present.
Commissioner Reyes.
Present.
And Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Okay.
Good. Reminder, everyone, due to the current physical distancing protocols in place, the city encourages the public participation remotely. There are two ways for the public to comment this evening. For people joining the meeting by video, click on the Zoom meeting link found at the top of the meeting's agenda. Use the raise your hand button to be called on. The other way for people to join the meeting is by phone, calling 408-634-0968. Once again, 408-634-0968, and entering conference ID number 8996-61-91-09, the number 4. Once again, 8996-61-91-09, the number 4. Press pound, then press *9 to raise your hand to be called on. The video and phone options are for public comment and will remain available until all public comments have been made to the commission for a specific agenda item. Finally, I want to thank our staff for their time and work to make tonight's meeting possible, including public participation. The next item on tonight's agenda is the consent calendar. There is one item to approve, the minutes from the Sustainability and Infrastructure regular meeting of July 8th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I second the motion.
Okay, the meeting minutes from the July 8th meeting have been approved. Next on our agenda is public comment. This is for persons wishing to comment on an item not appearing on tonight's agenda. State law prevents the commission from acting on any matter not on the agenda. However, comments are welcome, and the commission will take note of them and may consider them for inclusion into future commission meetings. Cookie, do we have any speakers
I
who
have,
want to comment?
It looks like I have two speakers. Carol Seinfeld.
Okay, and this is for items not on tonight's agenda.
Right.
Yep, okay. So it looks like we have two?
Yes, and then we have Dave. Dave is the second one.
Okay, great. Just briefly, Dave and Carol, you have 3 minutes to speak. And what I will do is when there's roughly 1 minute and 30 seconds left, I'll let you know. That is 30 seconds to complete your comment. Cookie, please.
Carol, are you able to?
Oh, I think you muted me, but now I'm unmuted.
Yes, you're
Are
unmuted.
you hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I did send a letter. I don't know if you received it. It's about something we might agendize, or you might agendize. This is Carol Steinfeld of 910 Oregon Avenue. So in 2018, a couple of you might remember the previous sustainability analyst presented to the Sustainability Commission options for reducing the use of gas-powered leaf blowers, but not a ban, which is called for in the Climate Action Plan. And the solutions range from a trade-in for electric leaf blowers to simply promoting the reduction of the use of leaf blowers. Again, it wasn't a proposed ban. The commissioners then, the sustainability commissioners, discussed it, but there was no plan of action. It wasn't agendized to return to in the future and hasn't been brought up since then with the merger. Well, now with so many residents attending school at home and working from home, we're hearing more city residents realizing and expressing this, how loud these are and how polluting they are at a time when we don't want to be adding to the air pollution load. So this is a good time to bring these slides back to the Merge Commission to decide on a course of action to meet the CAP goals to reduce use of equipment like this. So I'm suggesting you consider agendizing this topic for an upcoming meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol. I would encourage you also to talk to City Council as well. Okay, next speaker.
Dave?
Dave?
I'm unmuted.
Yes, you're unmuted.
Yes.
I just want to echo Carol's comments on the leaf blower. I know years ago, at least 6 years ago, John Ebneter and some others gathered the petitions and gathered signatures on petitions and presented it to City Council. And then the Sustainability Commission was forming, and so it kind of got kicked over there, and we haven't seen anything. So just want to also call for that to be agendized, and it's on so many levels, it's a good idea. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Dave and Carol. We appreciate hearing from you. Cookie, any more speakers for this, for public comment section?
No, I see no other raised hands.
Okay. So seeing no raised hands, we will move to the next agenda item, the new business section. There is one item to be discussed, the bicycle and pedestrian projects first quarter update for fiscal year 2020 to 2021. The objective of this agenda item is for the public and the commission to receive an update and to provide feedback on the project's updates to public works staff. In addition, a motion by the commission is required for this item. The motion is to approve the letter of support dated September 4th, 2020 to the California Transportation Commission for the Active Transportation Program Cycle 5 grant application, and to authorize the chair to sign the letter on behalf of the commission. A copy of this letter is included in the meeting documents. The meeting documents can be found on the city's website. The presentation for the bicycle and pedestrian project update will be made by Sue Ellen Atkinson, a principal transportation planner for the city. The presentation will be followed by questions from the commission, followed by comments from the public made by video or phone. Individual public speakers have 3 minutes to speak. I will inform each speaker when there is 1 minute and 30 seconds left to complete their comments to the commission. Once all public comments are heard, I will bring the discussion back to the commission for final comments, final questions and comments, and move to make a motion. So, Sue Ellen, would you like to open up the presentation here?
Sure would. Thank you for having me. Let me just get this up. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay, as Chair Rowinski mentioned, my name is Sue Ellen Atkinson. I'm the Principal Transportation Planner with the Public Works Department, and here tonight for Bicycle and Pedestrian Projects Update for the first quarter of this fiscal year 2020 to 2021. So tonight we'll be going through all the items that were contained in the staff report, including an update on infrastructure projects, grant efforts, and then the letter of support request for the Active Transportation Program Cycle 5 grant application that staff is currently working on. So first up, we'll go through some current and ongoing infrastructure projects, the first of which is the North San Mateo Drive Complete Streets project. This project consists of a road diet between Poplar Avenue and Peninsula that will convert the existing 4-lane roadway into a 2-lane roadway with a center turn lane. And that will also add bicycle lanes along that area from Poplar to Peninsula. The bike lanes will continue down to Catalpa. And the entire project will include bike lanes, bicycle boulevard, green infrastructure elements, pedestrian countdown signals, and curb extensions. So here I have some photos of the work that began just last month in August. The work is fairly extensive and it's expected to be completed in spring 2021. So as you can see, the crew is making great progress, but still several months to go. Next up is the upcoming 28th Avenue Bicycle Boulevard project. This project will be the first bike boulevard in the city. It was identified in the 2020 Bicycle Master Plan, and the project extents are from Mason Lane to El Camino Real. The project will include a speed table, which is an elevated crosswalk, speed cushions to slow down traffic, on-street pavement markings like you can see on the plans here, and wayfinding signage that will include destination information as well as how long it will take to bike to certain locations. That project is expected to be awarded later this month, with construction starting shortly thereafter in late October, early November, and it'll take about 10 weeks to implement that construction. So next up is the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG program. This program is utilizing funds that the city receives from HUD, from the federal government. And those funds are designated for a specific area of the city that's designated on this map in tan. And the funds must be utilized to support affordable housing, nonprofit organizations, and improved accessibility or rehabilitation of public facilities. So in the city, that's including the first-time homebuyers program, the below market rate program, and the minor home repair program through the Community Development Department and the City Manager's Office. Public Works has been involved in this program previously, utilizing some of those funds for paving and sidewalk projects. Since the city has other sources of funding for those types of projects, we have started spending those funds on bike and pedestrian related activity. And so on this next slide, just walking through the first two photos are of a recent installation for the CDBG project near the King Center. So these locations were identified through community engagement, and the projects that were implemented include curb extensions, the improved crosswalks, and the rectangular rapid flashing beacons, or RFBs, the orange signs and poles that you press the button and then the light flashes to allow you to cross the street safely. The funds are allocated each year, and for the next 2-year project cycle, the city has worked to identify a bicycle-related project in the North Central neighborhood. It's indicated on the map on the right of the screen, highlighted in yellow. It's a bike boulevard and bike lane project on Humboldt Street from Peninsula Avenue South to 5th Avenue. That is our second highest priority project in the Bicycle Master Plan effort. So we're really excited to be able to utilize the CDBG funds to provide really great north-south connectivity through that neighborhood. And that project is expected to go into design shortly, and staff expects to be able to put the design out to bid to start construction for next summer. So we're really excited to move forward on that project. You may have noticed going around town that we have some more bicycle parking available. So the city staff have worked really hard to complete the bike parking locations that were identified in the 2011 Bike Master Plan, as well as bike rack implementation outside of those previously identified areas. So the map on the left shows the areas throughout the city and within the downtown where we have new bike racks, and then we have some photos on the right of our hardworking crew installing those bike racks for us. We're also going to be installing new racks on North B Street in the next 2 weeks probably, and we're evaluating other locations in the downtown for a bike rack installation. Oops. Sorry. So switching gears into grant efforts, we do rely pretty heavily on grant funding for our bike and pedestrian programs. So I just wanted to give an update on where we are in terms of grant applications. The first one I'll talk to is the Caltrans Sustainable Communities Grant. The project that staff applied for in the last grant cycle last year was the San Mateo Complete Streets Plan. This grant application effort was interdepartmental with Public Works, Community Development, and the City Manager's Office, putting together a really great application. The Complete Streets Plan is envisioned to be a new comprehensive multimodal plan that will combine several of our existing plans into one document. The goal with the Complete Streets program is to support the upcoming General Plan 2040 and the multimodal transportation vision that will be within that document, with complete streets projects that focus on safety for all modes rather than, for example, in the Bike Master Plan, we have bike-focused projects. Having projects that really encompass all modes and incorporate green infrastructure elements. That plan would include design standards, streetscape concepts, and a prioritized project list, similar to what we have in the Bicycle Master Plan. So it's not redoing any of the plans, it's rather gathering them together and having projects that are multimodal in nature. So staff did apply last year under Cycle 5. We were very close to being sent to headquarters for consideration, but our project was not selected last year. Staff intends to revise that application and resubmit it in the upcoming grant cycle this year. Moving on to the Transportation Development Act, or TDA Article 3 grant program. This has been before the commission previously. Staff applied for the Transit-Oriented Development Pedestrian Access Plan, and that is a plan that will evaluate the pedestrian environment within a half mile of our high-quality transit areas in the city. So what that means is our 3 Caltrain stations. Under normal service, Samtrans ECR route does qualify as high-quality transit. During current pandemic conditions, that route is not operating at a 15-minute headway, so it does not qualify, but we would include those stops in the study, anticipating future additional service. So this plan would seek to identify the necessary safety improvements needed to make the pedestrian experience on the way to transit safe and comfortable, and have a prioritized project list for implementation. So this grant application was successful. It was funded by CCAG, and we have a city match identified. Staff will be starting the RFP process shortly to identify a consultant team to work on that plan. So next up is the County Transportation Authority Pedestrian and Bicycle Program, Cycle 5. In the staff report, we had noted that staff was evaluating projects to apply for under this grant program. And what we've identified is a very short segment, I will admit. You'll see, I wonder if you can see my mouse here. We've got the 28th Avenue Bike Boulevard on to the left of the blue oval. And then on the right, we have the Class 1 bikeway that's going to be completed along the new section of 28th leading up to the new Hillsdale Caltrain station location. Between that bike boulevard and the Class 1, we don't have a connection currently designed or in plans for construction. So what we will be applying for under this grant is the design and environmental review to connect the 28th Avenue Bicycle Boulevard to the new Hillsdale Caltrain station and the Class 1 bike ped path that will be on 28th. We've elected to apply for the design and environmental review because that intersection is Caltrans right-of-way. The implementations that we would like to do in that location include a Class 4 separated bike lane along the north part of 28th Avenue between Edison and El Camino to get bicyclists up to the northern side of 28th Avenue and then get them across El Camino to connect to that Class 1. And that will include a lot of coordination and approvals and permitting through Caltrans in order to do that. So we'd like to have that lined up prior to going out for construction on that project. So that application is due in about 2 weeks, and staff is currently working on that. And that brings us to the Active Transportation Program, or ATP Cycle 5. So under ATP, there this year are 3 categories for applications. The first is the quick build category, and that's on the left. The project that staff applied for under the quick build project category, which was due in June, was the rapid implementation network that was identified in the 2020 Bicycle Master Plan. So the quick build project category focused on projects that could be implemented with low cost materials that were intended for a short-term installation, which is exactly what our rapid implementation network is. So we put together the application for the full rapid implementation network and submitted that to the California Transportation Commission in June. So we will await their results on that. ATP has 2 standard categories, the infrastructure category and the non-infrastructure category. This year, staff has elected to apply under the infrastructure project category with the Delaware Street Safe Routes to School corridor that is outlined in blue on the screen below. That is a Class 4 separated bike lane from the 19th Avenue intersection south to 28th Avenue, connecting into that Class 1 bike ped path at the new Caltrain station. There, Delaware Street will become a bike boulevard with traffic calming measures to connect south to Pacific. And that will connect into a buffered bike lane project that the city is currently designing. So we have elected to approach this from a Safe Routes to School perspective, given that we have 2 schools very close to Delaware Street, which is a very busy north-south arterial in the city. And it's not, the facilities that are on street are not comfortable for our youngest riders. So we wanted to improve access to Fiesta Gardens International School and to George Hall Elementary School. So we are currently working on that application. It will be complete and turned in next week. And that is the project that we've requested consideration of a letter of support for. So that letter of support is from the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission, acting as the city's Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee in support of this infrastructure project. So with that, I have the staff recommendation, which is very long, and I apologize for that. So the recommendation is that the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission, acting as the City of San Mateo's Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, receive the 2020 to 21 first quarter update on bicycle and pedestrian projects and approve a letter of support to the California Transportation Commission for the Active Transportation Program Cycle 5 grant application and authorize the chair to sign the letter on behalf of the commission. And with that, that completes staff presentation for this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Sue Ellen. We much appreciate another very good. You were here in July, so we've seen a lot of you. You were at our July meeting and now our September meeting. Let's open it up with questions from the commission, and then once we go through that round, we'll head off. We'll pick up questions from the public, and I'm going to start with Commissioner Lorraine. Questions, comments?
Okay. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sue Ellen. I have one question about the the North San Mateo Drive, what's being listed in your presentation, and I think the admin report is a complete streets plan project. I think I just have a quick question about the maybe semantics, but just, between complete streets and sustainable streets, because I think in some presentations to council and at other stretches of its progress, it was referred to as a sustainable streets plan. And my understanding is the difference between maybe a complete streets plan and a sustainable streets plan is green infrastructure, which you noted is in this project. So is that about right in your opinion? Are there other differences between calling something a complete streets plan and a sustainable streets plan? And I think maybe a little more pertinent to the idea behind this question is really like, has this project changed since it went to council in January 2020?
I can answer part of that, and then I think I'll look to Brad or Matt, who have been more involved with the North San Mateo Drive project. So just to clarify, the question is regarding the name of North San Mateo Drive Complete Streets? Complete Streets project, or is it the plan that we're applying for?
No, right. So I think one question is just what might is there any difference between calling this particular project a sustainable streets project as opposed to a complete streets project with regard to like what's in it or what it's aiming to accomplish? How about that?
Okay. In what I've seen, a complete streets project is one that includes elements for all modes and the green infrastructure elements that are being included in this project as well. I know that the city has a sustainable streets plan that was developed, and the county is developing a sustainable streets plan. I don't know that there is a strong differentiation that I could make. In my knowledge of the North San Mateo Drive project, it's been referred to as a complete streets project in that it involves elements for all modes.
Yeah, I'll just add to that through the chair, Commissioner Lorraine. We do have a draft of a sustainable streets plan. It's never been fully approved because it wasn't there was no environmental document done to that. But one of the things that's been confusing, I think, even to me, is that the state doesn't require a sustainable streets plan. What they do require is a complete streets plan. So what we're trying to do is really define our plan, and that's why we're going out for some grant money to combine all this into one complete streets plan, which would also include the green streets segment of that section as well. I think having several different plans that kind of try to accomplish the same thing that have different names but aren't really required by the state can cause us some issues going forward. So that's kind of the tactic we're taking. And to answer your question about whether the project is different from what was given to council, it is not different from what we explained to council at the time.
Excellent. Thank you, Brad. I think that is instructive. Then I had a question about the CDBG project on North Humboldt. I guess I'm excited by this potential this funding source for this high priority bicycle project, and I wondered if this is potentially a reliable, maybe source of funding for high priority biking projects going forward, maybe on a year by year basis, at least for projects that have that are in North Central, which I guess is what was highlighted there.
The CDBG funds have in the past been dedicated in terms of the rehabilitation of public facilities that was mentioned in paving projects and sidewalk projects. We have I guess starting about 2 years ago, started to make that change to utilizing those funds for bike ped projects. And we are currently using 2 funding cycles at a time, basically, to have that budget. But I think that for the foreseeable future, we would like to utilize those funds for bike ped improvements in that area. So we have identified the Humboldt Street project for this funding cycle, and there are other projects that we've identified moving forward if funds are available.
Excellent, exciting. Thank you. I had a question about the Sustainable Communities Grant for the San Mateo Complete Streets Plan. I guess I was a little, I guess I had this notion that the general plan update process was intending to incorporate all of the plans that we had already in a way that sounded to me similar to what this San Mateo Complete Streets Plan is trying to do. So was that what would have happened, or can you maybe give me a sense of like what might be different from what we're trying to achieve with this grant?
Sure. The general plan is will likely include policies and goals from our adopted plans that we have already, like the pedestrian master plan, bike master plan. But typically, a general plan doesn't get down to the project level like those transportation plans do. And so what we hope to achieve with the Complete Streets Plan is meeting the requirement by the state to have a complete streets plan that's adopted, but really getting down to the project level and doing the concept standards and streetscape concepts and having identified projects that are prioritized and funding options that are prioritized. And that's on a detailed level that typically you wouldn't see in a general plan. So it takes, it kind of will go hand in hand with the general plan in moving forward the multimodal circulation network that we'd like to envision for the city's future, but it gets down to a much more detailed level by identifying those specific projects and the elements contained therein, and how to make those projects happen, whereas the general plan is at a bit of a higher level.
Interesting. Very good. I won't try to take every question, but I did have a bunch of questions. So I think I'll maybe go with one more and then allow my fellow commissioners to get in there. Sue Helen, I wondered whether there will be future opportunities for the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission to support your grant efforts through letters such as these that we're seeing tonight, and really how else could we be useful, and perhaps the public, how else could San Mateans help you and the city secure more funding for bike plan projects?
That is a really great question, and I appreciate it. We do try to bring the letters of support to the commission and to the council when we have enough lead time. We do have to prepare the staff reports ahead of time, and so on occasion we will go to the mayor or to the chair with a letter of support, but we don't have enough time to come to the full commission. But I think that that's something that we try to do with each application that we have. Right now we have a lot going on, so we're having more frequent requests for the letters. But I think in terms of the commission support is having support for those letters of recommendation, or letters of support, sorry. And then for the public, the funding entities also accept letters of support from the general public. So if anybody is interested and available to do so, I'd love to receive those letters and include them in our grant applications that are going forward.
If I could add to that as well, we'd be glad to take any kind of public money that the public could raise through, private donations. It's interesting. My nephew actually works at a bike shop in Wisconsin. He was telling me that sometimes the bike manufacturers will actually donate money for bike improvements. So if anybody has any connections out there, we'd be glad to accept any kind of funding like that as well. And I don't know, maybe there's even naming rights involved. Who knows?
Interesting. Thank you very much. Those are my questions for now.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Robbins.
Sure, thank you. No real questions, so we're going to have a comment period afterwards, right? I will hold my comments till then. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All righty. Commissioner Reyes?
No further questions at this time.
No questions. Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Nunez.
Thanks, Chair Orlinski, and thank you, Sue Ellen, for your presentation. I have one question for you, which is regarding the bike racks, and I'm curious about what criteria is being used to decide where the bike racks are being placed. I know that this has been an interest to the public, and we've been contacted by some members of the public around the bike racks, so I was curious about that.
Sure. In the downtown, available space has been the deciding criteria. What we've done previously is had staff go through areas and note where there are too many bikes that are locked to a bike rack, or where they're locked to parking meters or street signs or lamp poles or what have you, because that gives us a good indication of where it's needed. We've identified locations for 7 additional racks on North B Street, so north of First. We're also looking into some other jurisdictions are utilizing curb space that's already that's red curb. If it's an area that would not pose a safety hazard, or it's not a red curb because of a fire hydrant or something of that nature, they're utilizing the on-street space in front of that existing red curb to install additional bike racks. So that's something that my team is starting to look into, how we might be able to do that in San Mateo. I think it's been done in a few other Bay Area cities. So that's been of interest to us. We also would love to hear feedback on where additional bike parking is necessary. And so far, we've really been focusing on city facilities, parks, and the downtown area.
Great, thanks so much. And I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thank you. So, and I got a couple of things. I want to pick up a little bit on what Commissioner Lorraine said about letters of support, particularly from the public. I'm looking at the bicycle plan, and I'm noticing we have a pretty, we've got about a dozen names on the citizen advisory group. I don't know if it's permissible to reach out to them with a template of a letter. I don't know if it's proper protocol to possibly include on the website, the city's website, under the bicycle section, that, the plans to submit for a grant and letters from the public are welcomed, and supplying a couple of templates. I'm just kind of thinking a little bit in terms of trying to secure some letters from the public to the proper agency who's making the decisions on the grant. Any comments, thoughts?
Yeah, I think reaching out
and I don't want to make any more work for you either, but I'm just trying to figure out ways to get the word out. You've actually got a pretty wide network of bicycle communities here, and alerting them that this is being done, alerting them that letters of support would be appreciated, providing templates, Anyway, thoughts?
Sure. No, I appreciate all of those. I think that there's certainly many more routes that we could be looking at for letters of support. The grant application process is time consuming. And often I think, speaking for myself, I get focused on the application components and don't think widely enough about where we could go for letters of support. So I think that those comments are valid. I'm not sure about the ability to post the information on the website, but I think that reaching out, looking into that, reaching out to those contacts that we do have is something that we can certainly focus on more moving forward.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just, I think you have, I think you have some resources, and I fully understand you're knee deep in the application process, and you've only, and you've only got so much time and visibility, but for whatever it's worth, like I said, I think you have resources, and how we can implement them is my comment here.
So, Chair Rowinski, can I comment on that? I think that's a great thought you have, and maybe if we don't get it covered this time, we can think about how to manage that for the future. Mm-hmm. There are mechanisms. I mean, your comment about a template, like we could put a template on our website and maybe announce it through the city newsletter that goes out either every other week or every week, something like that. Again, don't know if we can accomplish that this time. It's getting late in the game, but I appreciate the thought, because I think that's just something we hadn't really considered. But we'll do so and figure out how we can maybe manage that going forward.
Great. Yeah. And the city newsletter from Samantha goes out to a pretty wide swath of people too. So, using whatever mechanisms the city uses, but good. And I'm glad to hear. And thank you for that, by the way. So, and I just want to kind of go back, this is a bike plan, and it's, we've talked about some of the pedestrian safety and the bike plan. I just want to focus a little bit on the bike plan here, which in the plan itself, it mentions that it will incorporate 2 micro mobility devices, such as e-scooters. So I have a couple of questions in terms of the incorporation of e-scooter usage. And my understanding, by state law, e-scooters, e-skateboards are supposed to use bicycle paths and not sidewalks. And so, my interest is to, educate, increase awareness of e-scooters. I'll just use e-scooters and collectively to get off the sidewalks and onto the bike paths. So my question is, you've got 3 great projects you talked about: the North San Mateo Drive project, the 28th Avenue Bike Boulevard, and the Humboldt Street project. And I recognize too, at this point in time, signage for e-scooters are not available. But when they do become available, let's just focus on the signage. What would be the city's plans to retrofit, might be a word I can think of, these projects with proper e-scooters signage? And I just use signage as one mechanism, once again, to increase awareness and education that e-scooters, e-skateboards are supposed to be using bike paths and not sidewalks. So how would you, when the signage becomes available, how would a retrofit happen, or would it happen, or are there plans for any of that?
I think that a plan for retrofitting existing bicycle wayfinding would be dependent on the budget that we have available at that time. And I think that from whatever time METCD standard signage is available that incorporates micromobility, we would incorporate that into our standard signage. But in terms of going back and replacing existing signage, I think that would be something that we would have to work into our budget in order to make happen. So we don't have a plan at this time, but I think at such time that it becomes available, we would determine how to move forward.
Sure. So would that come out of the CIP budget, or not a grant, or we don't know?
I don't
know. Both. Yeah.
I don't know that at this time. I think that we would look into any opportunity that we would have available.
All right. Okay. And it might not be replacing. It could be, coexisting of two different signages, however that would be done. But what I hear you saying is when the signage does become available, it's looking to see where the budgetary avenues that would be available at that point in time. Okay. All righty. And I think that's really my only question is, e-scooter usage is going to increase over time, and we're just going to have to adapt to it. And signage is one mechanism to inform people, both those that use micromobility devices and those that don't, where they should be used, which is on the street, not on sidewalks. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's my only question. We've gone through questions on the commission. Let's open it up to the public. And once again, all speakers from the public have 3 minutes. And I will inform each speaker when there's 1 minute and 30 seconds left to complete their comments to the commission on this particular agenda item. Cookie, do we have speakers?
I have Carol Steinfeld.
Okay, great. Okay, please, Carol.
No, sorry. I did not unraise my hand, apparently.
Oh, okay. I have Dave.
Dave, please.
Unmuted.
I think we need to unmute again, Dave.
I wanted to thank Sue Ellen for her work. It's looking great. Is there some way we could get a recording of the presentation? It says recording.
Yes, Dave, this is Susan, the chair, Commissioner Rowinski. This actually, we are being recorded live now. And if you go to the city's website and go under public meetings and look under this tonight's Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission meeting, the entire meeting is recorded. The video, you have a video as well as an audio link.
Okay. And I'll talk with the folks at Silicon Valley Bike Coalition about letters of support.
Yeah. And that would be really good. Thank you.
That's it for me.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dave. It looks like all public comments have been heard. Cookie, I'm not seeing any more hands raised. I'm seeing one hand.
That's Dave. I need to lower his hand.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like, Cookie, we have had our speakers. Okay, great. All righty. All public speakers have spoken. Okay. Let's bring it back to the commission for final comments, final comments, and then move to make a motion. Commissioner Lorraine.
Thank you. Well, it turns out I think I have one more question that I might try to turn into a combo question comment here. It's about the cadence of these updates going forward, because I found this particular update to be robust and wonderful, and I really appreciated Sue Ellen being able to get a sense from the bike plan, these projects and where they sort of fit along the project list and everything. It was awesome, and I just thought I got a sense from the admin report that it said because it referenced quarter, and there seemed to be a hint from time to time that it could be quarterly. Do you think we could have quarterly updates of this nature going forward?
Yeah, I think that's the intent. Is I'm not sure. Sometimes we'll have as much information as this, right? It could be shorter, it could be longer. We don't know. But the intent is to bring this information to you on a quarterly basis. We haven't always been able to manage that in that manner. But we'll for sure attempt to do so.
Excellent. I think that would be wonderful. Just, I can already think a little bit about, based on this report, what I can hope to learn updates on in the next quarter's report. Some of these projects that are, going out for bid, for example, we might be in a position not unlike where the current North San Mateo Drive project is now, and so on. So looking forward to the next one already. I do want to thank Sue Ellen, Brad, and Public Works for what I feel is an impressive slate of upcoming projects. Given that you've been having to deal with all manner of other things during this pandemic era and all this other stuff that's going on this year, I'm glad to see that we've applied for a number of different grants, that there's a possibility that the Rapid Implementation Program project and other high priority projects could potentially get funded within the first year of the bike plan update becoming firm, despite not having funding beyond the grants to necessarily get things started. So that's fantastic. I was a bit concerned when we when council first approved the update, whether we were going to get to see the vision. And I think we're already well on our way to potentially getting several key pieces started and finished. And so that's wonderful. I did just want to mention, I think I would agree with Chair Rowinski's comments and questions about letters and outreach. And I just want to second everything that she mentioned and say that I am personally willing to help with outreach and potentially writing letters. I'd be happy to tweet about it and so on. So I'm hoping I can be useful in getting the word out about future opportunities to get the public involved and get frankly commissioners involved in supporting upcoming grant applications. And I think that'll do it. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Robbins, comments, questions?
We're comment phase, but so I will just have a few, which is one, Sue Ellen, great work. Thank you very much. Big fan of the grants. And I think the comment, and this goes to Brad and everyone else, is that I think we're fooling ourselves if we don't think that funds for basic city operations are not about to get very, very scarce. This economy isn't going to turn around anytime soon. So given the grant opportunity, if anything we can get is fantastic. I'd love personally to see much more moving up on the bicycle plan being put in place. I have a feeling funds aren't going to be there for a while. So doing what we can with what we have is great. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Commissioner Reyes.
Thank you, Sue Ellen. I appreciated the presentation and glad to see that the Quick Start projects are now being identified as targets for possible grant opportunities. So that's great. Really happy to support this and hopefully we can secure some of these grant opportunities. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Nunez.
And once again, thanks, Sue Ellen, for your presentation. And I'm also just really excited about the progress that we're making on the vision of this plan. All things considered, there's a tight situation with the budget coming up, and I just know that these grant applications are a huge lift. Speaking, working alongside folks that are doing the same work, and know that it is extremely time intensive, and I just really appreciate staff for this important work. And yesterday I was able to go on a lunchtime bike ride and was really reflecting on the importance of our open space as a strategy for recovery to the pandemic. And these current events like the wildfires and the current pandemic really reinforce the importance of this work. And so, I think while these projects are implementing them, we're implementing them for the long term, and some of them for the short term with the quick implementation projects, that they're really helping our community to continue reducing our emissions and also being resilient to future events that may continue to happen like this. I'm really excited about the Complete Streets plan. I think just multimodal planning is really key to making sure we plan equitably our transportation and mobility work. And I'm just curious. I actually had a question that I didn't get to during my questions, but will the Complete Streets plan effort affect the way that the projects are prioritized in the bike plan?
I don't expect that it will. We expect to fold in the bike master plan, but as is with the prioritized project list, and we can still move forward in completing bicycle-focused projects. What we're trying to do in the Complete Streets plan is identify projects that have a more holistic approach in addition to that. So I don't think that it would supersede in any way. But since we haven't developed it yet, I think that we need to determine that when we're planning out the work.
Got it. And is the Complete Streets plan something that would come to the commission if and when it's drafting?
Yeah, I would expect so several times.
Last couple things, I'm just also personally willing to support the effort of letters of support. I know that there are lots of folks that would be willing to do that work and really support. I know that it is a time-intensive process to write some of the grants, so really tapping into our non-formal city connections, including writing to local community-based organizations or nonprofits to really tap into some of our networks. And I'm just really pleased to be recommending to sign this letter this evening, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Nunez. No, I just have a comment. As we talked about, a very impressive array of projects, Humboldt, North San Mateo, 28th Avenue, the bicycle parking, the pedestrian safety measures that PW did on 31st is widely supported and really appreciated by those residents that live on 31st. So thank you. And Sue Ellen talked briefly about that. And I think, encouraging the application of grants, but as Commissioner Robbins said, or cautioned us, that money's going to start to get tight. So I don't know how we'll get around that, but we'll just deal with it as we deal with it. And as Commissioner Lorraine had mentioned, looking forward to quarterly updates, but those updates could be tempered to some degree by the absence or presence of grant money. But once again, very good job, Sue Ellen and PW staff. We really appreciate it, so thank you. This agenda item does require the commission to make a motion. So do I have a motion to approve the September 4th, 2020 letter letter of support to the California Transportation Commission for the Active Transportation Program Cycle 5 grant application, and to authorize the chair to sign the letter on behalf of the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission? Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we have...
Excuse me, Susan, we actually do need to vote.
Oh.
I don't think we'll have a problem, but...
okay, thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Cookie?
Chair Rowinski?
Yes.
Vice Chair Nunez?
Yes.
Commissioner Lorraine?
Yes.
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
The motion passed 5-0.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, staff. And once again, thank you, Sue Ellen, for your time, both tonight and all the transportation planning that you do for the city. We appreciate it. Okay, everyone. The final item on tonight's agenda is reports, announcements, and meetings of interest for the near-term future. Would anyone like to talk about any Any reports, announcements, or meetings that would be of interest?
So, Chair, if I could go first.
Sure.
Okay. Just upcoming for October 14th meeting, we have scheduled is disposable food service ware ordinance and temporary encroachment permit fee update and the downtown parking garage pedestrian safety. And in November, we're looking to stormwater activity funding analysis, and that's a tentative date depending on the progress we make by then, and the Public Works citywide maintenance plan. So those are the November items we have planned for you. So thank you.
Great. Commissioner Reyes.
Yeah, with regards to future agenda items, I know that we don't have sustainability staff here, but it's my understanding that the City Council has directed staff to start looking at an all-electric reach code. So basically bumping up the standard, if you will, in the reach codes to greater decarbonization, and interested in finding out when that would be coming to the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission.
Mm-hmm. Brad, do you know anything about the status of that? Does it need to come back to the commission?
No, but I'll have Kathy. I'll give that information to Kathy, and we'll get something out to you.
Okay.
Status of that.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Reports, announcements, meetings?
Yes,
Commissioner Rain. Yes, please.
Thank you. Actually, I'd like to start with maybe a question or two for Brad about the crystal ball. First of all, I'll start with a comment. Thank you very much for the crystal ball. I think it's very important in helping me as a commissioner prepare and be my best for upcoming meetings, and to be able to think through beyond the admin report, time span of about a week, what's coming up and how I can be most useful. So thank you very much for that. I think that's really important. On that note, I have maybe a clarifying question or two related to these items, perhaps because I haven't been paying as much attention as perhaps the commissioners have on some of these, but maybe a reminder would be helpful. Could you, Brad, give me a sense of what downtown parking garage pedestrian safety is and what will be addressed?
Yeah, well, Sue Ellen might be able to chime in more for me, but basically, as you exit the garages, sometimes with the pedestrians, a little unsafe, and so I think our plan is to put some safety mechanisms in that alert pedestrians at cars starting to exit. Did I get that right, Sue Ellen?
Pretty much. We have a consultant team that we've been working with who has helped us do audits of our downtown garages and identify pedestrian safety issues at the entrances and exits. And next month, my team and I and the consultant team will be presenting on those findings and recommended strategies and implementations that we can consider to improve pedestrian safety at the garages. So that may be pavement markings, mirrors, electronic warning systems, that sort of thing. They've put together recommendations for each location that are very specific to the issues that were identified by the city team and the consultant team.
Excellent.
Question on that. Is that in response to any concerns or recent collisions that have happened?
The project was identified based on feedback from the community about safety conditions at the garages, not necessarily incidents, but concerns about lighting or not being able to see pedestrians when you're exiting the garage and the vehicles, and also city staff experience. We utilized the garages as well, and had a lot of feedback in that area also.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, great. I just have one announcement, and it actually takes place next week. And it is a celebration noting the beginning of the construction of the North Shoreview Flood Improvement Project. And for those folks who live in North Shoreview, this is a big milestone for them. And September 15th at 11 a.m. will be a celebration, a groundbreaking ceremony to begin that work. And it's 11 a.m. I think the location is adjacent or very close to the Peninsula Humane Society's intake center on 12 Airport Boulevard. So once again, that's a big deal, and it's a big deal for the folks in North Shoreview. So I want to just shout that out there. With that, there's no other reports, announcements, or meetings. The September 9th, 2020 Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission for the City of San Mateo.
Chair Winsky, just before you adjourn, if you don't mind, I actually do have another announcement or two, if that would be all right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to mention that Coastal Cleanup Day, as many people know, will not be happening exactly the same way in September as it has so many years, with an awesome effort from Public Works, by the way, and bringing people out to the Bayfront. I'm going to miss that, but FYI, the Coastal Conservancy is pushing for a Coastal Cleanup Month, and so every Saturday can effectively be your own Coastal Cleanup Day. You can go out by yourself. You don't necessarily have to gather with anybody. In fact, that would be encouraged. Please do not do that right now, as we remain socially distant and try to fight the spread of COVID-19. But that doesn't mean you can't go out on your own with gloves and the necessary equipment to clean up and help make a difference. So I would encourage people to check out coastalcleanupday.org for more information on how to participate in that. Additionally, somewhat similarly, we didn't have Bike to Work Day this year for similar reasons, but many organizations are participating in something called Bike to Wherever Days this month in September, including the local Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. And so similarly, you can you don't necessarily have to get into a group to do something this time, but you can still sign up for apps and log the sort of trips you're able to make in the month of September and contribute as part of a broader community. And if you're interested in that, you can go to bikesiliconvalley.org/B as in Bravo, T as in Tango, W as in Whiskey, D as in Dog, or Bike to Wherever Day. And I will just note, of course, with context, that obviously the last several days and weeks have been filled with wildfire smoke in the air. And this Saturday may or may not be a great Saturday for this Coastal Cleanup Month, but hopefully Saturdays in the future. And there will be, as Vice Chair Nunez noted, other occasions when the air is cleaner and clearer to get out and ride your bike. I would also recommend it, as it's been very cathartic for me during these times. On that note, too, with regard to wildfire smoke, Peninsula Clean Energy, as some of us know, has been working on a program to help those in need receive grants and subsidies toward backup power supplies, which is really important right now. Thankfully, the San Mateans have maybe only seen their power shut off once so far this year as a result of demands related to the heat waves, and we haven't yet quite gotten into the PG&E's prescribed program that we dealt with last year, but it's only a matter of time, and so it's important for everybody to be as prepared as possible. And Peninsula Clean Energy is willing to help if you are perhaps low income or if you have medical needs for electric devices. So I would encourage anyone who feels they meet that category or who would just like more information to go to www.peninsulaCleanEnergy.com/POP. or for Power on Peninsula. So thank you very much, Chair Rowinski, for allowing me to make those comments.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Lorraine. Okay. So once again, the September 9th, 2020 Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission meeting is now adjourned. The next commission meeting will be held on October 14th, 2020. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to the public, Dave and Carol, to staff, Sue Ellen, Brad, Matt, for your time tonight. Stay safe and be well. Thank you, everyone.